with. But the one thing that stood out to me was you said that you have male friends and they're not even interested in voting. And to
That's
me, that
you must have everything that I said.
that did,
The
that
thing of
did,
Yeah, a
our
male
community.
that
friend.
did,
What is a
that
male
stood out to
friend?
me.
Guess who's back?
What is the biggest political threat to Black people? And I think it's, yes, the breakdown of the nuclear family in our household, but when it comes to like politics and outside of the nuclear household, I kind of believe that they're intertwined. I feel like because women are leading so many of our households nowadays, we are stuck voting one way politically, which um, lessens our chance of actually getting anything politically from the party that most African Americans vote for, because we have no leverage, and it's because our women vote Democrat overwhelmingly, and when we vote overwhelmingly Democrat, it loosens our leverage. I think that's the biggest political threat, and I think that that's something that the Black community needs to talk about, as far as how do we regain leverage politically so that we can kind of get the things that we want. But I'm gonna throw that topic out there, and I'll let you guys kind of jump on it and see what you guys think. What do you think is the biggest political threat for Black people?
Yeah, I mean that just to piggyback on what you were saying, Kay. There's a there's an we've been pretty reliant on one party for a long time and not seeing many results. When you look at areas of heavy Black populations, we don't see very many results from the political arena. And I got two parts to this. So in the first part is, yeah, we rarely see gains. We see a lot of talk. We see a lot of bluster, and um, I didn't even think about that we're so easily into the party and so far in that there's no reason to really win our vote. Like we don't have leverage to where we demand things from our political parties. We just allow our votes to be cast and not follow up and follow through on things that were promised, because I know of right now I can't think of very many um, inner cities that have political sway and the Black community starts thriving based on the decisions that are made. But the flip side, real quick, is you think about like Japanese people. How many Japanese politicians can you think of? I can't think of any. Like just straight, Japanese American or whatever you want to call them. But Japanese people don't have a whole lot of trouble making the way in society and being successful. So I think part of it is us understanding that we don't necessarily need politics to be successful and to make it in the world. But if we are going to go that route, yeah, make sure we have some gains, some results from our vote, and to not be so monolithic in our offering when we don't get anything in return.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Yeah. Sorry. This one got a little heavy. Got a little deep. Got a little deep.
Yeah,
We moved from the dating to the
I
politics. But I
wasn't
like to throw a
expecting.
little. I like to throw a
I
little
wasn't. Hey,
Threw a
look,
little curve in there, huh?
threw a little curve in there
honestly,
real quick.
honestly, I hate politics. I truly do. But I agree with what you're saying about, us leaning towards just one particular party. But on another note, I just think in general, I don't know necessarily like I feel like this is a threat just to like my younger generation, and just I feel like Black people in general in the community, we weren't taught like this in school, or like we weren't really pushed like in a positive light for us to go out and vote. So I feel like that within itself is a big threat. There's not a lot of young people that are like educated about it, or even older people as well within the Black to like want to go out and even just vote or even create like their own opinion on how they feel about politics in general. So I just feel like it's just a lack mindset and just a lack of like knowledge as well. So that's my little opinion about it.
That's what's up.
Honestly,
That's what's up.
That's not necessarily a bad. And I'm sorry, what was your name? Again? Was you got finished talking?
Jade.
Jade. So I don't know that lack of voter participation is necessarily a bad thing. You know, politics in this country has gotten so far to the left, and I don't mean left versus right, you know, conservative. It's just gone so crazy that most people are more passionate than educated anyway. So when you see these people every 4 years go out there and line up and put stickers on, I voted, like it's not going to affect any change because it's not meant to. I think it's an old saying: if voting really changed everything, they'd outlaw that shit tomorrow. So, like what Kev is saying, the power and on the flip side, threats are mainly economic, not so much political. Like you said, you don't see a lot of. I can't name. You brought it up. I can't name a Japanese politician now or ever in my lifetime. But like you said, they seem to be thriving. So politics, I think, especially at this point, is so tribal and so entrenched. Like nobody's changing anybody's mind. When's the last time you heard a political debate on cable news, on social media, in your real life, where somebody said, "Huh, you know, that's a good point. I hadn't looked at that like that." Like
No,
that's not a
because
real thing
like
that can happen anymore. So
oh no, for sure. And it's like even with the older generation, I mean in general, people are so stuck in their ways that people aren't open-minded, you know, whatsoever. I mean like even my generation, we're kind of starting to like make a change when it comes to like sexuality, when it comes to just people just embracing themselves as individuals. I feel like that's expanding more where people are starting to be more accepting and starting to be a little bit more open-minded. But as far as like politics, it's either left or it's either right, and it's nobody is
it's football
open-minded.
teams. I like the
Oh
dude with the
yeah.
red tie. So when he lies, you know, I'll overlook it. Whoa, with a lady in the blue pantsuit, I like her. So when she starts telling me lies,
But you know
we'll
what's
let a little bit of
crazy?
that slide. Right?
It's football teams, right? It's red, it's blue,
It's football
but
teams.
nobody knows nothing about that football team. I know so many people that are for the red team, but they don't know nothing about the red team, but they just want to go vote for it.
Yeah,
Or
more
they just
Miss
want to
passionate than
Gigi.
educated.
stand, but or they just want to stand beside that person that is leading or whatever the case may be, but they're absolutely ignorant on politics in general or things that are going on amongst us in the world.
Let,
So
let me give Miss Gigi a little time. We all kind of bombarded our opinions of politics, and Miss Gigi's sitting over here real quiet. So let's give her a
I
little
was
bit
just
of
listening, but
time.
wow, where do I start? You mentioned that women in our community vote Democrat. So I just want to address that first. I think our community does not really come out in the masses to vote in general. And I think a part of that reason is due to mass incarceration and the lack of ability to vote. So when you see women in the polls, it might be because they have the ability to vote and because they want to vote. I have talked to a lot of my counterparts and peers, and they don't really see some of the males don't really see the importance of voting, which is why you don't see them at the polls. So that's one. Just wanted to address, the reasons why that may be happening. The other thing is politics are bigger than just the presidential election. The local elections in your community is where it matters. And so what I've come to find is people get so caught up on the president, but they don't do their due diligence in researching who are your elected officials in your own state. They don't even know. If I asked everybody right now, who's the governor of your state? Like, I don't know who would know. I'm not questioning you guys, but I don't know who would know because that's not a conversation that people talk about. So when we talk about politics, one of the biggest political threats to Black people is the lack of education when it comes locally. Don't just pick a party based upon what they look like and what they say. You know, pick the party based upon like the due diligence and what they've done in the community. A lot of
Right.
times, this last election with the last presidential election, it was a lot of back and forth and a lot of like arguing. I didn't participate because it doesn't matter as much to me. I knew who I was going to vote for, and I stood by that. But it's really the local elections that matter the most because they affect, if you get locked up tomorrow, they affect whether you're probably going to go to jail or not based upon who you've elected. And I think that that's one of the biggest threats. The other biggest threat is I think the usage of the media. We get distracted very easily. On the media, they're constantly showing police brutality and things of that nature, and we're outraged, but we're not necessarily signing up to fight for the injustices. Like, how many people do you know that are actually signing the polls, or who are actually making the phone calls to get people out of jail, or who are actually signing petitions to fight the injustice? Sandra Bland, I still don't think that her or her family got the justice that she needed. It was a lot of outrage on social media, but what did you do to participate in changing the laws? So I think the biggest threat is really the lack of education and the outrage without the action behind it.
Yeah, yeah. I picked up on one thing you said there. I mean, I heard the whole thing that you said, and some of the stuff I agree with, some of the stuff I disagree with. But the one thing that stood out to me was you said that you have male friends and they're not even interested in voting. And to
That's what
me,
stood out to you, most of everything that I said.
that that did,
The
that
thing of
did,
Yeah, a
our
male
community.
that
friend.
did,
What is a
that
male
stood out to
friend?
me. That stood
Can
out
you
to me the
expound on what
most.
that is?
That stood out to me the most. But
She
here's what
spoke
I,
so eloquently, and that's all you got.
Right. We're
yeah, that's
distracted.
That's
I
where
heard
I
the
got stuck
speech.
too. I'm not gonna lie
yeah.
to you.
We're easily
I
distracted.
heard everything you said, but that particular thing stood out the most to me. And the reason it stood out the most to me is because it's what we just talked about, the lack of male leadership. Like, men should be leading the charge into voting. Men should be showing our women, here's why we should be voting. Here's what we should be voting on. Here's the XYZ of everything that we are talking about politically in our community, whether it's from the president to the people on the board of education in our communities. We need to be leading our women. And right now, that's not what's happening in the Black community. Women are leading us. And here's why, to me, that's concerning, is because a lot of times women's priority is safety. A man's priority should be rationale and logic, but a woman's priority for the most part is safety. And so when you have one party telling us, oh, you're safe with us, you're safe with us, like you said, police shootings here, this person's going to get you, that person's racist, then a woman's safety kicks in. And this is, to me, this is why the Black community votes Democrat over 90% every election all the time, without considering the fact that we have no leverage with that party, considering the fact that we don't get anything from them. They give every other group something, but we're last. And the reason we're last is because they know we're going to vote for them no matter what. And the other party don't even try to get our vote because they know we ain't voting for them. So if men were leading, at least we would be able to tell our women, hey, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Let's get some leverage real quick. Let's vote one other direction just to show both parties we're in the game. But right now, we're not in the game. Politically, no party has to do anything for us, or what? Like, nobody has to do anything for us. And I think that is because of a lack of leadership by men, Black men especially in politics and
Hmm.
leading our women.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who is the number one race and gender that is currently incarcerated?
It's Black men.
Okay. And
Well,
then,
hold on. It's white men in total number. But if we want to talk percentages, it's Black men. But yes, there are more white men in total number in prison than Black men. Absolutely. Per capita, yes, we are leading, but
okay.
not total number.
So per capita, we're leading. So we can land it there, right? So when you talk about leadership, a lot of our leaders are incarcerated.
No, they're not.
They
That's
are though.
no,
Yes, they are. We're talking about
no.
statistics, right? a lot of our leaders are incarcerated. A lot of our leaders that aren't incarcerated due to their past history, even if they change their life around. I've met some of the most brilliant felons, women and men in the world. Even if they've changed their life around, they don't have the ability to vote. So when you talk about people leading to the poll, a lot of our leaders, one, are incarcerated, or two, they don't have the ability to vote even if they wanted to.
See, I gotta disagree with you right there, because
Okay.
I gotta disagree with you right there, and I'm gonna keep it a buck. Niggas in jail ain't leading, and I say that as a man who's been to jail. And when I went to jail, I was not leading. I was thinking about some way other shit, some dumb shit. And at that point, I was not a leader. Now, when they get locked behind those doors, and life starts to get real for them, and they start thinking, "Oh well, shit, I need to measure up. I need to mature up." It don't matter at that point. You done put yourself out the game. You're not a leader. If you disqualified yourself from the game, you're not a leader. The
There's so
leaders are
many
the people who.
wrongful incarcerations. Everybody that's behind bars did not commit a crime, unfortunately, but that's another topic. But I'm just going to go with statistics that at the end of the day, a lot of our Black leaders are behind bars. I don't think that, all of them deserve to be there. So when you're talking about politics, we can really talk about politics and statistics and things of that nature. But again, I go back to the biggest political threat, which is the lack of education and knowledge. And we get distracted, which is why you were like, out of all the things I said, what stood out to you the most was that I talked about my personal experience with some of the male friends that I know versus the bigger picture, which is really voting on the local level so that it can affect change on larger levels.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I wasn't remiss on any of the voting smaller level to larger level. I didn't miss any of that. I think, like I said, the thing that stood out to me the most was your friends saying they don't vote. And the reason that stood out to me the most is because not only did your friends say that, but I have a lot of friends that say that. I know a lot of Black men that say that. And because the prior topic was about male leadership, that stood out to me because those two things connected. It
Mm.
connected in the fact that Black men are not leading at this point. And if we want to change anything in our community, Black men have to become better leaders. They have to choose better inside of their dating, inside of the women that they want to be with, and then they have to start leading their families. That's the biggest threat to us politically. Is not only the breakdown of our family, but also teaching our men how to be leaders and choosing women who will follow them. This is why we have so many of the problems that we have. And it all starts with men's leadership.
Keep in mind, we just put the author of the mass incarceration bill into the White House. So how's our lack of education is pretty damn heavy.